The Korg Poly-800 is a synthesizer released by Korg in 1983. Its initial list price of $795 made it the first fully programmable synthesizer that sold for less than $1,000. It featured a 49-key non-velocity sensitive keyboard, 2 buttons for data entry, and a joystick controller, which could modulate the DCO pitch or the VCF. Though the Poly-800 had MIDI, it did not feature MIDI SysEx functionality, except EX-800, the expander version, or by modding the Poly-800 with additionaly selectable EX-firmware-ROM, and patches had to be backed up to cassette tape. It had 8-voice polyphony, paraphony, with 1 DCO per voice. It could be switched into double mode, which stacks 2 DCOs for a fuller sound, but reduces the polyphony to 4 voices. It featured 1 analog resonant low-pass VCF with 24 decibels oct, which was shared for all voices. Like a monophonic synthesizer, the filter was switchable between single or multiple modes. In single mode, the first key press triggers the filter envelope, and unless all keys are released, the filter does not re-trigger. In multi-mode, each key pressed in turn triggers the filter envelope, even if other keys are still pressed down. Further, it had 3 digital envelope generators, a noise generator, an LFO, and a chorus effect. The Poly-800 could be run off batteries and had guitar strap pegs, allowing a performer to wear it like a guitar. It was also available with reversed colored keys, which gave an appearance similar to a Vox Continental organ sequencer. It also sported a simple built-in 256-step sequencer, EX-800. About a year after the Poly-800 was introduced, a keyboardless, rack-mount tabletop version, called the EX-800, was released, adding limited MIDI SysEx capability. After production of the original keyboard ended in 1985, the enhanced Poly-800 MKI was released. It featured a digital delay instead of a chorus effect and included limited MIDI SysEx functionality. It was produced until 1987. Seal produced an almost identical synthesizer, the DK70, around the same time period. Modifications. The low price for a used unit. In the 1990s it fell to under $200, and partial analog design of the Poly-800 made it appealing for modification by hobbyists. There is a modification that adds 2 knobs to the VCF, increasing the filter's range and expressiveness, known as the Mood Slayer filter modification. The FM800 filter modification, which adds a pseudo-frequency modulation synthesis, FM, control to the filter, a modification for external audio input, and some users have added a switch to control the filter slope, adjusting it from a 4-pole, 24 decibels oct, to a 2-pole, 12 decibels oct. It is also possible to install an additionaly ROM containing the firmware of the EX-800. That way it is possible to receive MIDI SysEx data, but keyboard functionality will then be disabled. Before powering up the synthesizer, users can select the firmware of choice by using a selective switch. The most recent modification to the Poly-800 family is the Hawk 800 firmware upgrade, which is both a hardware and firmware modification, radically updating the features and capabilities of the synthesizer. There is also the Hawk 800, which adds software and MIDI control to the more popular hardware modifications. References. External links. Synth Museum. Vintage Synth Explorer. Yahoo! Group for users and abusers of Korg Poly-800 and EX-800 synths. Korg Poly-800 resource info, sounds, pictures and MP3 demo. New patches from ANALOGAUDI01 for the Poly-800 2.